Chapter 1104. It's really this guy. Xuanhuan's eyes flashed when she heard Jing Qianyang's words. She asked coldly, "Do you know him?" Jing Qianyang hesitated for a moment, but still chose to tell the truth. 3 days ago, with the cooperation of the police, my men used wuxihan to lure out that group of people. The situation at that time was very dangerous. The biggest leader was killed on the spot while escaping, but it was inevitable that a few of them escaped. Xuanhuan's face was terrifyingly gloomy. "This man is one of the fish that escaped?" Jing Qianyang nodded solemnly. "This man is the second in command of the leader. Although he is only the second in command, in fact, his methods are no less ferocious than the leader. Even the leader is old and no longer restrains his subordinates as much as before. In recent years, many things have been handled by this man. In short, this man was the second in command, but in fact he was already the uncrowned king of this group of people. Although they killed the so-called leader 3 days ago, they still let this slippery big fish slip away. And now this big fish had set his target on their family. What do we do now?" Xuanhuan clenched her hands into fists. One could vaguely see the slightly bulging blue veins on her hands. "The few of you follow the few of you over there." Jing Qianyang directed his men to surround the small villa. "Remember not to alarm anyone and ensure the safety of the hostages." They tried their best to ensure the safety of Su Yiyan at all costs, but they also knew that the situation was not optimistic. If this man really wanted to kill Su Yiyan and her son, then they would not even have a chance to rescue them. Su Yiyan did not know that xuanhuan and the others had already arrived outside the villa and were anxious to rush in to save her. From the conversation between Do Channy and this scarred man, she had already guessed the identity of this scarred man and knew that this person really wanted to kill her. Su Yiyan looked calm on the surface, but a layer of cold sweat had already formed on his back. She knew very well that Do Channy would not hand her over. Even if it was for his own life, he could not watch her die. But the point was, could he be more stubborn than these lunatics? As it turned out, Su Yiyan's worries were not unfounded. When Do Channy heard that the scarred man wanted to take Su Yiyan away, he said without thinking, "That won't do. I still need her to save my life. I can't let you take her away." The scarred man's face darkened. "I'm not negotiating with you. Do you believe that I won't kill you right now?" Do Channy wasn't afraid. He glanced at the scarred man and sneered, "Of course I believe you. But Mr. E, you have to consider the consequences of killing me. Apart from me, no one else can help you leave this place. Other things aside, the one in the family Hua is not someone easy to deal with." Before Do Channy could finish, the scarred man had already interrupted him. "Do you think I'm afraid of him? You are not afraid of them, but you are afraid of death. What happened a few days ago was a lesson. Do you want to repeat the same mistake? That's because they cheated. Cheating is also a strategy. How can Mr. E be sure that they don't have a backup plan? If that's the case, you wouldn't have asked me to cooperate. You were lucky to escape this time. How can Mr. E be sure that you will be so lucky next time? What? There's no what if." Chapter 1105. Do Channy raised his eyebrows and chuckled, "Don't be so full of yourself. Even a rabbit will bite when cornered, let alone a mad dog. You killed his wife and child, he will kill you no matter what. When that time comes, I'm afraid Mr. E won't be able to escape." When Su Yiyan heard Do Channy describe Xuanhuan as a mad dog, his face darkened and a chill flashed through his eyes. When the knife-scarred man heard him say that, he was stunned. Soon after, he seemed to have thought of something and suddenly laughed. "Mad dog? That's an apt description. Everyone says that nephew is like uncle. Jing Qianyang is a mad dog, his nephew is also a mad dog." When Su Yiyan heard this person mention Jing Qianyang, his heart sank. He was almost certain of this knife-scarred man's identity. At this moment, the knife-scarred man suddenly raised his head and looked over. The two people's eyes met unexpectedly. Su Yiyan pursed his lips and his heart sank. Fortunately, the knife-scarred man's gaze didn't linger for too long. He quickly turned his attention back to Do Channy. He even put away the weapon that was originally pointed at him and took the initiative to walk to the sofa opposite Do Channy and sit down. "Kid, you're a smart person. Since you dare to say that, are you sure you can escape unscathed?" "Of course." A light flashed through the knife-scarred man's eyes. "What are you going to do?" Do Channy raised his head and looked at the clock. "In 10 minutes, Miss Su and I will take a private jet and leave here. Before that, there will be people who will help us lure away those bugs that are chasing after us. If Mr. E doesn't mind, you can leave with us." "Leave with you on a private jet?" Do Channy smiled faintly and shook his head. The knife-scarred man frowned. "No. To be precise, we'll leave together but not on the same plane. I've specially prepared a private jet for Mr. E to make it convenient for Mr. E to choose where to stay. If Dou Tianyi wanted to escape, he naturally could not openly apply for the route on the surface. Otherwise, when xuanhuan and the others reacted, they would be able to find out where they had gone. Wouldn't all their previous arrangements be in vain? The reason why he arranged another plane for the knife-scarred man and the others was that he wanted to get on the knife-scarred man's good side and let him know that he was the only one who could help him get out of this predicament. He wanted to emphasize his value so that the knife-scarred man wouldn't dare touch him. Secondly, it was to ensure his own safety. Dou Tianyi knew that if the knife-scarred man wanted to leave, he would definitely have his own way. As long as he wanted to, he would definitely be able to solve the problem of the flight route. The difficult part was that even the cleverest housewife could not cook without rice. Now that he had given him a way out, he would naturally be able to find a way out. Furthermore, his connections would definitely not coincide with his own. When the time came, they would not be on the same plane and no one would know where they went. Even if this group of desperados wanted to burn the bridge after crossing the river, they would not be able to do anything. How could the scarred man not see through Dou Tianyi's little scheme? But what he was more concerned about was, "You're guarding against me." "It's not that I'm guarding against you, I just want to ensure the safety of myself and Miss Su." "Mr. E, don't tell me you're scared." "Provocation won't work on me, I'm just scared. The plane is yours and you won't be on the same plane as us. If the sky explodes, who can I reason with? You have to come with us." "That's impossible." "I'm not negotiating with you, I'm ordering you. I'm ordering you to come with us." The two of them had created a temporary harmony because of their escape, but now they were at daggers drawn because of their differences in escape arrangements. Chapter 1106. Su Yiyan felt an indescribable sense of irony as he watched the scene unfold. Two people who obviously had their own ulterior motives were on guard against each other, repeatedly jumping on the edge of falling out. However, for the sake of each other's safety, they had no choice but to cover up the thin layer of paper and fight a battle of wits and courage with each other. Su Yiyan was not interested in the game between the two. Su Yiyan was more concerned about whether he could bring the child out of here in the short span of 10 minutes. This question also affected the hearts of the audience in the live broadcast room. These people were originally very worried because of the appearance of the scarred man and the others. It was only when they heard Dou Tianyi emphasize the time again that they realized that so much time had passed unknowingly. Obviously, the rescue team had not arrived yet. If this continued, wouldn't the host really be kidnapped by this group of dangerous people and taken abroad? In a split second, the live broadcast room was densely filled with messages, all of which were worried about Su Yiyan's future and concerned prayers. The favorability value rose rapidly, and finally Su Yiyan heard the prompt that he wanted to hear the most. Detected that the favorability value of the host has met the upgrade requirements. Do you want to upgrade immediately? Upgrade? Su Yiyan was stunned. After the upgrade, can I swallow the system on Wen Jingping? In theory it is possible. The system will try its best. The system was rarely modest. Su Yiyan's eyes flashed slightly and finally, there was a slight smile in his eyes. Then upgrade. Confirm to use favorability value to upgrade the system. This upgrade is estimated to take 1 minute. 59, 58, 57. 1 minute was not long, but it was not short either. Especially in this kind of life and death situation, every minute and second was torture. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Su Yiyan silently counted down with the system in his heart. The moment the 1 fell, he heard a crisp sound and the system's voice sounded again. System upgrade completed. Do you want to immediately clear the surrounding system? Yes. Su Yiyan's eyes flashed fiercely. Swallow it for me. At that time, Wen Jingping was worried about the terrible situation she might face after Dou Tianyi left. Suddenly, a sharp alarm sounded in her mind. An unknown attack has been detected on the system. Host, please activate the protective device as soon as possible. An unknown attack has been detected on the system. Host, please activate the protective device as soon as possible. Detected. Beep. Host, please. Beep. What? Wen Jingping was caught off guard by this sudden turn of events. Her pupils shrank as she stood rooted to the ground, not knowing what to do. While she was in a daze, she also didn't expect that there would be a high-level system in this era. Furthermore, the other party wanted to annex her main character system right from the start, which was also a little careless. This system's level was not as high as 001 because of Wen Jingping's slacking off. In addition, it didn't even notice 001's existence before it was attacked. Before it could even activate the protective device, It was already affected by 001's heavy blow and lost the initiative. The system firewall is under attack. The system's external links are under attack. The system store is under attack. The system's central module is under attack. The system's database is under attack. Ding, beep. The system's notifications, which were in the same frequency as her heartbeat, hit Wen Jingping's heart again and again, making her tremble in fear. Chapter 1107. What followed was the gradual collapse of the regional modules of the system and the distortion of the damage warnings. System damage rate, 20%. 40%. 68%. 89%. As the host of the system, Wen Jingping suddenly heard a sharp and shrill cry when the system's internal damage rate reached 100%. Wen Jingping subconsciously wanted to cover her ears, and her mind went blank for a moment. At this moment, Su Yiyan also received the good news from the system. System integration has reached 100%. The system store has been updated. The host can now exchange for items in the store for self-protection. Su Yiyan's eyes lit up when she heard the notification. She opened the system store and saw that there were many more items in the exchange store, which originally only had various Chinese medicinal herbs and various Chinese medical books. From various cheat-like auras to various types of charm enhancement, there were even self-protection tools. It was really infuriating. Fortunately, all these now belonged to 001 and her. Wen Jingping had a good hand and played it badly because when the system found her, she was in a period of depression where everyone wanted to beat her up. It was already good enough that people did not hate her, let alone have a good impression of her. Su Yiyan was different. Although she had just spent a lot of favorability points to upgrade, the audience in her live broadcast room really liked her and were worried about her. In just a short while, she had received a lot of favorability points, enough for her to exchange for some life-saving tools. I finally know why people call customers and fans the parents of their livelihood. The system had successfully swallowed another high-level system, and the contents of the chip had become much richer. When it heard Su Yiyan's exclamation, it asked a question which was rare. Why? They can save lives at critical moments. Not only were they self-producing, but they could also save lives at critical moments. What kind of touching little angels were these? Su Yiyan decided that if she could return safely this time, she would definitely do more live broadcasts in the airport and give a few more little angels as gifts to thank them for their help. The system was speechless. After a short silence, the system continued to broadcast another notification. Congratulations to the host for snatching the female protagonist's Goldfinger, progress +9. Current progress, 99%. The task of snatching the Goldfinger is about to be completed. Once completed, the host and his partner will completely replace the male and female protagonists as the pillars of the world and enjoy the various benefits of the protagonist's aura. After 001 swallowed Wen Jingping's system, the progress bar of snatching the Goldfinger had only jumped to 99. What was the last 1%? There was also the various benefits of the protagonist's aura? What benefits? Luck, promotion and wealth, a happy family. I don't lack of these now. What else can I get? These benefits feel a little useless? The system was speechless. You're still complaining about this? Do you want to go to heaven? Cough. The male and female protagonists of this world possess the world's providence, so their benefits are naturally not limited to this. Su Yiyan raised an eyebrow. For example, you'll definitely win a prize if you buy a lottery ticket, you won't die if you jump off a cliff, you won't lose in the ring, you'll definitely miss when you're under a hail of bullets, and you'll definitely pick up money not long after you leave the house. Cannon fodder will suffer when they see the host, and bullets will take a detour when they see the host. Su Yiyan was speechless. Are you even human? Su Yiyan was overjoyed that she had found a way to save her life. She was already planning to get the last 1%. On the other hand, Wen Jingping was in a miserable state. Chapter 1108. Her mind went blank for a moment when she heard the scream when the system was disconnected. It took her a while to regain her senses and realize what had happened. Her system, the only thing she could rely on, had been attacked by an unknown force. Just a moment ago. System? System? Wen Jingping was quite restrained at first. She kept calling out to the system in her mind, praying for a response. After calling out a dozen times without any response, Wen Jingping finally panicked. How could this be? How could this be? Impossible, impossible. System, where are you? Don't hide, don't scare me. Come out, system, come out. Wen Jingping's scream broke the standoff between Do Channy and the scarred man Mr. E. Do Channy frowned and gave Liu a look. Liu quickly went forward and grabbed Wen Jingping's hand to stop her from running around. Miss Wen, what are you doing? Calm down. How could Wen Jingping calm down at a time like this? She grabbed Liu's hand and said anxiously, my system is gone, my system is gone, someone stole it, stole it. Liu listened to her incoherent words and said impatiently, what system? Who stole your thing? Miss Wen, calm down first. No matter what you lost, now is not the time to talk about it. Let's wait for the boss to finish talking before we talk about your problem, okay? No, we can't wait. Someone stole my system. Someone stole my system. Who is it? Who is it? Wen Jingping said as she pushed Liu away and grabbed the hand of another person beside her. Is it you? Is it you? Or is it you? Wen Jingping was like a headless fly, chasing people around and asking questions. Even the fugitives that she was afraid of before became the targets of her suspicions. In the eyes of the crowd, this scene was like a crazy woman who had lost her mind and suddenly went crazy. Dou Tianyi and the knife-scarred man were already unhappy because they couldn't reach an agreement on the topic. Now that they saw Wen Jingping crazily pulling people everywhere, they frowned at the same time. In the end, it was Liu who broke out in cold sweat. She directly ordered a few bodyguards to go forward and grab Wen Jingping, who still wanted to run around, and take her away first. Wen Jingping still wanted to struggle, but her strength was no match for these strong bodyguards. She could only follow them out. However, when she was near Su Yiyan, Wen Jingping seemed to have thought of something. Her body stiffened and her eyes widened. It's you, right? You're the one who stole my system, it's you. Wen Jingping suddenly exploded. She almost broke free from the restraints of the bodyguards and pounced on Su Yiyan. After her attack failed, she suddenly became dispirited, as if she had thought of something unbelievable. I should have thought of it, I should have thought of it. She had transmigrated from the 21st century to this era of universal nutritional supplements. Although she had the script of a poor Cinderella, she had come into contact with the rich second-generation Huo Xiaofeng. She had relied on her home-cooked cooking skills to support herself and had accumulated many fans for herself. Everything was going well. Everything she had experienced told her that she had transmigrated with luck. One day she would climb to the top and become a person above others. However, all of this had unknowingly gone off the rails. Since when did it start? Chapter 1109. It was not that Wen Jingping had not thought about this problem before, but before this, Wen Jingping felt that the beginning of her misfortune was that talent show. Because she participated in that show, she provoked Yu Yushi and the others. Her hype failed. Not only did she fail to squeeze into the show, but she was also used as a sacrifice by the program team. She was also banned and terminated by the live streaming platform because of her bad reputation. Since then, her love career seemed to have taken a sharp turn and started to go downhill. Huo Xiaofeng was kicked out of the Huo Corporation because he caused a big mess and lost his inheritance rights. It was also at this moment that Wen Jingping realized how immature the potential stock she had set her eyes on was. She could not handle things and could not be relied on in the future. After learning from her mistakes, Wen Jingping decisively abandoned Huo Xiaofeng and seized the opportunity to hook up with Dou Tianyi. In order to gain a foothold in the entertainment industry and wash away the negative effects of the talent show, Wen Jingping begged Dou Tianyi to invest in a drama for her and let her be the female lead to make her famous. Dou Tianyi did it, but she did not become famous because of it. Instead, she was ridiculed because it clashed with another drama from Su Yiyan's company, completely establishing her awkward position in the industry. It was not until Dou Tianyi and Su Yiyan's conversation that Wen Jingping realized that something was wrong. Su Yiyan was actually a live streamer on Onlooker. The food section had appeared out of nowhere and caused countless topics. After she scammed her, it became even more popular and directly compared her to the medicinal cuisine live streamer in the dust. Perhaps she was wrong from the beginning. Her tragedy did not start with that talent show, but with Su Yiyan. Wen Jingping's initial impression of Su Yiyan was very one-sided. The reason for her hostility was very simple. Su Yiyan was Huo Xiaofeng's fiancée. This setting was very common in the melodramatic dramas she had seen. These rich second-generation young masters often had a fiancée who was already engaged in a business marriage. This fiancée was usually chosen for him by his family. She loved him to death, but the male lead didn't like her at all. Instead, he easily fell in love with Cinderella, who had a great disparity in status. Wen Jingping firmly believed that she was Cinderella, and even more firmly believed that her transmigration was a gift from the heavens. Naturally, she didn't like Su Yiyan, her fiancée. She felt that Su Yiyan was a vicious female supporting character who could ruin her relationship with Huo Xiaofeng. Huo Xiaofeng wanted to strike first and gain the upper hand by exposing her mask in front of everyone. That was why Hua Xiaofeng brought her to the banquet and showed off in front of his fiancée. Now that she thought about it carefully, it seemed that things started to go out of control from then on. Su Yiyin fell down the stairs and was hospitalized. As soon as she was discharged from the hospital, she broke off her engagement with Hua Xiaofeng and married Hua Xiaofeng's uncle. Not long after, on the same platform and in the same area, a food anchor who followed the same path as her appeared. However, this food anchor was more attractive than her. All of this was too much of a coincidence. In this era there weren't many people who could cook. How could her culinary skills be so good? In this era, Chinese medicinal herbs had clearly been lost. How could she take them out? Was it really her family's inheritance, or did she have some unusual opportunity? Taking a step back, even if she really had these things, why didn't she take them out before? Why did she have to appear during this period of time when she stopped broadcasting and went to participate in the talent show? Why did she steal all the glory that originally belonged to her? Chapter 11:10. She failed in a talent show and was banned by the platform. Her boyfriend's protection was taken away. She was ridiculed when she finally found another company to film a TV series. She was called a mistress when she hooked up with a spare tire. She was banned by her family when she found a backer. On the other hand, Su Yiyin was an extreme case. After her live stream became popular, she hooked up with the Research Institute. Then she opened a brick-and-mortar store and captured millions of fans. She married a wheelchair-bound cripple and recovered. Then she seized power and became the head of the whole corporation. In addition, Su Yiyin opened an entertainment company. Artists relied on her to gain sympathy. She even used her as a stepping stone to shoot a TV series and became a hit in the ratings. Even the backer she had tried so hard to hook up with was not reluctant to leave after using her. He wanted to abandon her and beg her. It was as if all the luck she should have had been taken away by her. When she thought about the sudden attack on her system not long ago and the lack of information, when Jinping was even more certain of her guess. It's you. Must be you. You stole my system. No, you already have a system. You stole my system. Give it back to me. Give it back to me. With a definite suspect, when Jinping struggled even harder. Even the bodyguards who were holding her down almost couldn't hold her. Hearing her scream, Dou Tianyi and the scarred man had different reactions. Dou Tianyi's eyes flashed. He frowned and wanted Liu to grab her and drag her out. The scarred man stood up and said with a gloomy face, "System? What system? What do you have on you? A tracker or a listening device?" As soon as the scarred man said this, everyone was stunned. Their eyes all focused on Su Yiyin. They were on guard. The audience in the live stream subconsciously held their breaths. They were afraid that these cold-blooded demons would discover their existence and use it to hurt Su Yiyin and her son. In their opinion, Su Yiyin must have hidden a camera or something. Otherwise, how could she have started a live stream? If she was discovered by these people, the consequences would be unimaginable. Reality proved that not everyone's imagination was big enough. When the system was mentioned, they would subconsciously think of transmigration, rebirth, and other small probability events. Su Yiyin saw that everyone had misunderstood and raised his eyebrows. However, he was calmer than they had imagined. If I had these things on me, would you have brought me to this desolate place? Let's accept this vexation. That's not necessarily true. The scar-faced man narrowed his eyes, his face full of hostility. Zheng Qianyang is cunning and his nephew is probably no better. You better hand it over or else. Otherwise what? You want to search my body? Su Yiyin sneered. Before I came in, Mr. Dou's men searched me from head to toe. Now you want to search me again? Do you not trust Mr. Dou, or do you think Mr. Dou is such a careless person? Am I holding you back? The provocation in Su Yiyin's words couldn't be more obvious. However, it was enough to disgust these two men who didn't see eye to eye. As expected, when she said this, the two men's expressions turned ugly. It wasn't just them. Even the bodyguards in black who had brought Su Yiyin back had ugly expressions. They were the ones who had brought Su Yiyin back. They were the ones who had checked him before he came in. Wasn't this man questioning their boss indirectly questioning them? Chapter 11:11. Su Yiyin saw the change in everyone's expression and sighed. Of course, if you want to force me to search again, I can't do anything about it. After all, I am now a prisoner. My life may be in danger at any time. How can I care about this? Su Yiyin's words could be said to be quite eccentric. In a roundabout way, she ridiculed Dou Tianyi for going through so much trouble to invite her over but not being able to guarantee her safety, allowing an outsider to behave atrociously in his territory. Dou Tianyi's eyes flashed. He knew Su Yiyin's intention, but he still went along with her words. He smiled faintly and said, Miss Su must be joking. Miss Su is my guest. No one will do anything to you. The knife-scarred man's face darkened slightly. There was a dangerous look in his eyes as he looked at Do Tianyi. Do Tianyi did not avoid the knife-scarred man's gaze. He calmly explained, before entering, Miss Su had indeed been checked. All the communication signals in this place have been blocked. Even if she has something on her, she can't send it out. The knife-scarred man's expression became better. He no longer insisted on searching Su Yiyen's body. However, no one expected that when Jingping, who had been restrained and unable to move, would explode with unprecedented strength when she saw that everyone's attention was attracted by Su Yiyen. She broke free from the restraints of several bodyguards and rushed in the direction of Su Yiyen. Everything happened too suddenly. Everyone watched as when Jingping threw herself at Su Yiyen. Su Yiyen subconsciously protected her child and wanted to dodge. However, the system's prompt sounded in her mind again. It has been detected that a group of people has surrounded the villa. A fight is inevitable. Does the host want to exchange for the corresponding life-saving tools to ensure the safety of her life? A group of people? Su Yiyen was stunned. The first thing that came to her mind was, Xuanhuan has arrived? Yes. After getting a definite answer, Su Yiyen instantly changed her mind. She stood motionless and let Wen Jingping throw herself at her. Do Tianyi and the others' faces changed slightly. They were afraid that Wen Jingping would throw herself at Su Yiyen. They did not know that since Su Yiyen allowed Wen Jingping to throw herself at her, she was not unprepared. Confirming the activation of the comprehensive defense system. Congratulations to the host for activating the halo and the large-scale melee halo. Within 10 minutes, all the chaos in the surroundings will not be able to harm the host at all. Those who harbor ill intentions towards the host will not be able to get within 1 meter of the host. What was Su Yiyen most afraid of? She was most afraid of the real thing in their hands. Now that the halo was activated, no matter how powerful the weapons were, they could not hit her and her child. They could not even get close to them. 10 minutes did not sound like a long time, but in this life and death situation, not to mention 10 minutes, even a minute or a second could determine who lived and who died. She had to admit that the system was quite reliable at critical moments. As soon as the halo was activated, Wen Jingping, who was throwing herself at Su Yiyen and reaching out to strangle Su Yiyen's neck, tilted to the side after throwing herself at Su Yiyen and fell down the stairs. She rolled all the way down the stairs and could not get up. Su Yiyen protected her child and was unharmed. However, at this time, everyone was attracted by another movement in the hall and did not notice her abnormality. Chapter 11-12. Xuanhuan and the others who had surrounded the villa like an iron bucket, could no longer hold themselves back when they saw Wen Jingping pouncing on Su Yiyen. They took the lead and opened the wooden storehouse for Do Tianyi and the scarred man. Do Tianyi was originally worried about Su Yiyen's safety and wanted to help. However, when he saw someone fall in front of him, his expression changed. He retreated under the cover of Li Yu and the others while ordering people to capture Su Yiyen. The scarred man was obviously thinking the same thing as him. Although they were caught off guard by the sudden attack of Xuanhuan and the others, they were still part of the mafia. However, he was a member of the underworld and compared to Do Tianyi he was better at dealing with this kind of situation. After the initial surprise, his first reaction was to get someone to arrest Su Yiyen. Only with Su Yiyen would they have a chance of survival. Even if they couldn't reach an agreement in the end, he wanted to drag that woman down with him. He wanted Jing Qianyang to experience the pain of having an important family member die because of him, just like 10 years ago. With this thought in mind, the scarred man only left a small group of people to deal with Jing Qianyang and the others. The others were all sent to capture Su Yiyen. Su Yiyen wasn't stupid. Although she had the halo, she was now a live target. The scene was in chaos. It was fine if the bullets didn't hit her, but if everyone rushed towards her but no one could get close to her, anyone with a discerning eye would know that something was wrong. It was better to hide first. With her safety guaranteed, Su Yiyen looked at the chaotic hall and couldn't help but worry about Xuanhuan and the people who came to save her. The system seemed to have sensed Su Yiyen's emotions and suddenly gave her a reminder. The host and partner are in a cooperative relationship. The host and partner can use the products in the system's store. Su Yiyen's eyes lit up. Really? Really? Su Yiyen was a little suspicious. Are you that good? The system was silenced for a few seconds by Su Yiyen's direct questioning before it spoke again. As long as the host pays the appropriate amount of favorable impression points, the host will be able to exchange items for partners. It's affordable. Are you sure you don't want to buy a set for your partner? Su Yiyen, 001. Are you really 001? Are you really my system? Could it be that it failed to swallow the person and got swallowed instead, becoming someone else's fake product? Her system was clearly not such a money grubber before. The system was confused by its host's 3 consecutive questions, and only after a long while did it reply coldly. Host, please do not casually question the authenticity of the system. The opening of the system store is due to the upgrade of the system after the integration with the world's female protagonist system. Su Yiyin breathed a sigh of relief. That's right. This serious tone is the system I'm familiar with. The system was speechless. Sigh, I'm so angry. Open everything that can be opened for him. As Su Yiyin spoke, she seemed to have thought of something. She frowned and asked, can it only be used on Xuanhuan alone, or can it be used on others as well? The items in the system store can only be used on the host and the host's partner for the time being. Su Yiyin heard this and sighed. Sure enough, she could not be too greedy. She was already lucky to be able to guarantee Xuanhuan's safety. She hoped that the others would be fine as well. Reality proved that the cheat that the system gave to Su Yiyin at the last minute was very useful. When chaos broke out in the hall, Xuanhuan took the lead and blended into the chaotic crowd through a small shortcut almost without thinking. Chapter 11:13. But even so, it was still not easy to get to Su Yiyin's side. The live broadcast on the internet was suddenly cut off the moment Su Yiyin was pushed down by Wen Jingping, leaving countless viewers who were worried about Su Yiyin and her son. Xuanhuan's heart felt like it had been thrown into a pot of oil and fried. It was incomparably torturous. He tried his best to move in the direction of his wife and child. In the chaos, although the people on the knife-scarred man's side did not know his identity, they could see that the people around them valued him. These cunning guys almost instantly chose to focus their fire on Xuanhuan. Several times Xuanhuan could feel the bullets grazing his scalp. It was less than a centimeter away, but it was the distance between life and death. But it was so thrilling that when Xuanhuan reached Su Yiyin's side, not a single hair fell. Seeing this, the people who protected him were surprised and wondered when their ability to protect people had become so good. Xuanhuan. Su Yiyin hid in the blind corner of the stairs and watched Xuanhuan charge forward under the protection of a group of people. Even though she knew that the other party had the halo of the system and would not be hurt, she was still frightened. Several times she subconsciously wanted to hold the child and rush over to join him. Fortunately, she was still rational. She knew that she could not help at all and would only cause trouble, so she barely controlled herself. Now that she saw that the people had finally come in front of her, Su Yiyin finally stopped restraining herself. If it were not for the child in her arms, she would have plunged into Xuanhuan's arms. It was not convenient for Su Yiyin to reach out and hug someone, but Xuanhuan did not have this concern. Without thinking, he reached out and took his wife and child, who had been lost and recovered, into his arms. Sorry I'm late. Su Yiyin was held in his arms. She only felt that the chest of the person in front of her was like an iron wall that firmly surrounded her. As long as he was there, no one in this world could hurt her. No, you're not late. The child and I are fine. We're fine. Only then did Xuanhuan remember the child in Su Yiyin's arms. She lowered her head and saw that her little child's face was red from crying. His eyes were also red from crying. He looked extremely pitiful. Although the little guy was usually a troublemaker and loved to steal his wife's attention, he was still his son after all. Seeing him like this, Xuanhuan could not help but feel a little distressed. That woman suddenly rushed over. Did she hurt you and the baby? Su Yiyin was startled. Only then did she remember that when Jingping had fallen down the stairs. She didn't know how she was doing. Su Yiyin turned to look at the place where Wen Jingping had fallen, only to find that it had been occupied by another group of people. As for Wen Jingping, she was nowhere to be found. No one knew if she had been taken away or, "It's okay, I let her fall on purpose." When she rushed over, she used a bit of skill. It looked like she had pushed me down, but in fact, I fell down by myself. When she was about to press down on me, I pushed her. You didn't see how she rolled down the stairs just now. Su Yiyin wasn't sure how many people in the live broadcast room had seen the scene that had happened not long ago. She couldn't help but cover up a few words to avoid suspicion. Xuanhuan had always believed Su Yiyin's words without a doubt. Instead, she was more concerned about Su Yiyin's first sentence. You let her fall on purpose? If I said that I had telepathy with you and could feel that you were waiting outside to save me, so I deliberately pretended to be pushed down by her to create an opportunity for you, would you believe me? Chapter 11:14. Xuanhuan's eyes flickered. An unfathomable emotion flashed across her eyes, but she quickly calmed down. If you say so, I'll believe you. Ahem. Su Yiyan was just about to let out a sigh of relief when they heard a soft cough beside them. The two of them instinctively turned around to look at the source of the sound. They saw a young man who had escorted xuanhuan here. He looked at them with a subtle expression and said awkwardly, "Well, if you have anything to say, let's talk outside. Let's leave first?" Su Yiyan couldn't help but blush. Xuanhuan, on the other hand, was very calm. She even asked in return, "You don't have a girlfriend, right?" The young man? "What's wrong? Are you trying to remind me that I'll be struck by lightning if I interrupt someone else's date? Or are you trying to mock me for not being able to understand you couples because I don't have a girlfriend?" With just this one sentence, the young man felt the malice of this world toward single people. Although it was a little awkward to be interrupted, the young man was right. This wasn't a safe place. "Let's go back first." Zheng Qinyang's people temporarily stalled the scar-faced man's group. Dou Qianni's people found an opening and wanted to stop them. However, the people protecting xuanhuan weren't to be trifled with either. Other than one or two people who were difficult to deal with, the rest of them didn't pose much of a threat to them. Su Yiyan and the others' original position was less than 10 meters away from the villa. However, it took them nearly 10 minutes to get there. Just as the system's halo items were about to expire, they finally got out of the villa and saw the light of day again. "The people outside are basically my uncles and my people. Don't worry." Su Yiyan was startled. Only then did she realize that the villa was surrounded by people dressed in the same way as those behind xuanhuan. "Uncle?" Su Yiyan was stunned for a while before she realized. "Uncle is here too? Where is he now? Will something happen to him?" "He's on the other side with another group of people. Don't worry, he'll be fine. I'll take you and the child back first. We'll meet up with him later." When the young man who had reminded them heard their conversation, he suddenly interrupted, "Captain Zheng is a legendary figure in our bureau. Even though he hasn't been in the pugilistic world all these years, there are still legends about him. With him personally leading the team, the results should be out soon. You don't have to worry." Su Yiyan subconsciously looked at xuanhuan and said with a faint smile, "I didn't expect Uncle's reputation to be so high." Xuanhuan also laughed, and her tone was unconsciously filled with pride. "Uncle has always been very outstanding." Since the professional had said so, Su Yiyan also knew that she would only be a burden if she brought the child along. Therefore, she temporarily suppressed the worry in her heart and prepared to leave with xuanhuan. However, she had only taken a few steps forward when a familiar system notification sounded in her mind, stopping her in her tracks. Detected that the world's female lead is dead. Snatching the female lead's Goldfinger progress +1. Current progress is 100%. Snatching the Goldfinger mission completed. Host and partner have officially replaced the world's male and female leads as the world's pillars. The replacement progress bar has officially been activated. As soon as the system notification sounded, a golden progress bar appeared in front of Su Yiyan. It was filling up from left to right at a speed visible to the naked eye. In a short while it had filled up half of the bar. However, what Su Yiyan was more concerned about was, "When Jingping is dead?" Chapter 11:15. Yes. According to the data just a minute ago, the original female lead's vital signs have completely disappeared. A thorn in Su Yiyan's heart was suddenly pulled out just like that. Su Yiyan felt that it was a little unreal. She's dead? How did she die? Could it be that during the chaos just now she was accidentally hit by a stray bullet? No, from the data feedback, when Jingping was killed in a dispute with Dou Qianni. Su Yiyan was even more surprised. She was killed by Dou Qianni. It turned out that when Su Yiyan and the others left the villa, Dou Qianni had also escaped to the villa's backyard under the cover of his subordinates. The group of people he sent to find Su Yiyan naturally did not have a good time with Su Yiyan. Seeing the person their employer wanted was rescued just like that, they did not know what to do. Coincidentally, at this moment, when Jingping, who was fleeing in a panic, entered their sight, one of the bodyguards had a bright idea and brought Jingping to Dou Qianni. Dou Qianni's body was already at the end of its flight. Seeing that the group did not bring Su Yiyan back, his pale face instantly sank. Even when he saw Jingping later on, his face did not improve, but it was better than nothing. Before they caught Su Yiyan, the defective product in front of them could still be used. Dou Qianni took a deep breath and felt that his chest was blocked, making it difficult to breathe. He hurriedly waved at Jingping. "You come here." When Jingping had lost her cheat, the system, and returned to her previous timid state. Hearing Dou Qianni calling her over, she was so scared that she trembled. After hesitating for a while, she braced herself and walked over under his unhappy gaze. "Didn't you say that you have a way to alleviate my condition?" I don't feel too good right now. Help me massage it again. When Jingping's lips trembled, but she couldn't say anything. The reason why she was able to help Do Tianyi get out of the hospital temporarily was because she had used a lot of points to exchange for items from the system. Then, under the pretense of massaging Do Tianyi, the system used the items on him. Now that the system was gone, where was she going to find the tools to help him alleviate his illness? Do Tianyi's face was as pale as paper, but his eyes were still sharp. Is there a problem? No, no problem. When Jingping did not dare to disagree with Do Tianyi, she could only tremble as she walked behind him and massaged his shoulders and neck. In her mind, she was secretly thinking about how to escape. At this moment of life and death, when Jingping's brain, which was not very good at thinking, suddenly became alert. With Do Tianyi's cunning and quick-witted mind, when Jingping did not think that she could hide it from him for long. Now that things had turned out like this, he definitely could not stay in the country any longer. Su Yiyin was not caught. Most likely, Do Tianyi would settle for the next best thing and take her abroad. If the system was still around, when Jingping could not ask for more. But now that the system was gone, what would Do Tianyi do to her when he knew that she was completely useless? At that time she would have no one to rely on. She would drift abroad alone and no one would know if she died. There would not even be anyone to collect her body. No, she could not just sit there and wait for death. Enough. When Jingping was so scared by her own thoughts that her face turned pale. When she suddenly heard Do Tianyi's angry shout, her heart almost stopped beating. She subconsciously took a step back. What's wrong? Did I hurt you? I'm sorry. I was scared and didn't control my strength. Chapter 11:16. Do Tianyi frowned. He turned his wheelchair to face her and asked coldly, "What is the system you mentioned before?" When Jingping was shocked, she lost her composure and showed a guilty expression. At the same time, she resented Su Yiyin even more for taking everything away from her. No, nothing. You know me. I don't like to ask the same thing twice. When Jingping trembled, she lowered her head and didn't dare to look into Do Tianyi's eyes. She subconsciously clenched her hands. It's really nothing. Do Tianyi sneered. If it's nothing, why would you suddenly go crazy? If it's nothing, why would you throw yourself at Su Yiyin in front of me and so many people? Is that so? Do Tianyi's eyes became colder. My patience is limited. You better not waste my time talking nonsense with me. Otherwise, Do Tianyi looked at the chaos outside. It's so chaotic outside. It's normal for one or two people to die. When Jingping could hear the threat in Do Tianyi's words, her eyes widened. She never thought that she would be involved in this kind of thing. Her mind was blank and she didn't know how to deal with it. Do Tianyi paused and raised his eyebrows. Speaking of which, if you didn't throw yourself at her and give those people an opportunity, things wouldn't have turned out like this. When Jingping's face changed again. Su Yiyin wasn't here, so when Jingping could temporarily suppress the hatred in her heart, she then realized that she had made a big mistake. I just heard that you were going to take her abroad and not me. I was confused and made a scene. Yes. Do Tianyi muttered. According to what you said, the system exists in your consciousness. Others can't see or touch it. If that's the case, how can you be sure that she has the system you mentioned? She has it, she must have it. Since she had already said it, when Jingping did not intend to continue to hide it. When Jingping felt a chill run down her spine when Do Tianyi glanced at her. She then glanced at the tall and strong bodyguards around her. She pursed her lips and finally unwillingly revealed her big secret. Even though Do Tianyi had already guessed it, he still found it hard to believe. You're saying that you've obtained a system by chance, and this system can alleviate my illness through some unexplainable means. Does Su Yiyin also have such a system? Do Tianyi, who had already asked people to investigate Su Yiyin thoroughly, heard her words and a trace of disdain flashed past his eyes. Needless to say, with her original cultivation and ability, a woman like her could really be that powerful. However, that system, in other words, as long as I can obtain Su Yiyin's system, my illness can be cured? Su Yiyin had taken away her system. If she revealed it now, there would definitely be a lot of people who wanted her system. If she couldn't get it, Su Yiyin wouldn't be able to get it either. You've seen her live broadcast, right? The medicinal herbs she used during her live broadcast don't exist in this world at all. That was given to her by her system. Also, didn't her disabled husband stand up again? It must be the system that helped her. Otherwise, how could a woman like her suddenly become so powerful? Yes, that's it. Yes. Your system was swallowed by her, so your system is inferior to hers. Chapter 11:17. It was clearly a statement, but when Jingping felt an inexplicable chill. No what? Dou Qianyi interrupted when Jingping's unfinished words and chuckled. Your system hasn't been taken away, or your system isn't worse than others? When Jingping's lips trembled and she couldn't speak, Dou Qianyi was too lazy to waste any more effort on her. His cold eyes swept over her body, and in an instant, he had convicted her. Since you don't have a system on you, then you're useless. When Jingping's heart suddenly thumped, she looked at Dou Qianyi in disbelief. She couldn't believe that he would be so heartless, but she had to believe it. When Jingping only snapped out of her daze when the bodyguards understood what Dou Qianyi meant and surrounded her. She looked around and seemed to have thought of something. Her eyes flashed with resentment and madness. She rushed to Dou Qianyi's side before the bodyguards rushed over and used all her strength to push the handle of Dou Qianyi's wheelchair. Dou Qianyi didn't expect Wen Jingping to do this. Or it could be said that he didn't take Wen Jingping seriously from the beginning. He only saw her as a plaything that he could pinch and flatten at will. Wen Jingping's actions were beyond everyone's expectations. It was also because of this that she managed to buy time for herself. Dou Qianyi's wheelchair was overturned. Everyone, including Li Yu, was shocked. They shouted "Boss!" and rushed over to check on Dou Qianyi's condition. How could they still care about Wen Jingping? Wen Jingping took advantage of the chaos to run away. She wanted to escape before everyone could react. However, she was still too naive. Dou Qianyi's body was already weak. After being pushed by Wen Jingping, he lay on the messy lawn in the garden and couldn't get up for a long time. With great difficulty, Li Yu helped him back into his wheelchair. His eyes were already bloodshot. To be tricked by a little thing that he had never even considered worthy of his attention was a complete humiliation in his eyes. His resentment over the recent setbacks reached its peak at this moment, causing him to snatch the gun from Li Yu's hand and point it at Wen Jingping without hesitation. Bang! Bright red blood stained Wen Jingping's back and chest. She widened her eyes and wanted to turn her head to take one last look at her murderer, but because of the inertia of running away, she finally fell to the ground before she could completely turn her head and died with her eyes wide open. As for Dou Qianyi, at the moment of Wen Jingping's death, the life force that had been forcefully filling his body seemed to have been completely sucked out in an instant. It was as if something had suddenly grabbed him by the throat. His entire body stiffened and his eyes widened. After a moment, his body went limp and he fainted. After Su Yiyan figured out the ins and outs of the situation, he more or less sighed a little. Compared to the original work where love was paramount, the male and female leads in this world could be said to only have a relationship of using each other. When benefits came, they would unite. When benefits ran out, they would break up. He just didn't expect that they would break up so tragically. Without waiting for Su Yiyan to finish lamenting, the golden progress bar was filled. Following that was the familiar mechanical voice of the system, confirming Su Yiyan and xuanhuan as the male and female leads of the subworld. Please consciously abide by the rules of the subworld. Do not do anything that harms the people or the subworld. Reasonably use the subworld's luck. The mission of counterattack and face slap 001 has been completed. It will leave the host in 1 minute. Please be prepared. Countdown begins. Su Yiyan was startled and asked, "You're leaving?" Chapter 11:18. Yes, the system's mission has been completed. The store has been fully opened to the host. You can no longer stay in this world. Su Yiyan was silent for a while. Although she knew that there was something in her mind at the beginning, she always felt an inexplicable sense of fear and doubt. However, during this period of time, the system had indeed helped her a lot. People's hearts were made of flesh. After this period of interaction, she actually had already regarded the system as a friend. And now this friend was leaving. It was possible that they would never meet again in this lifetime. As if it had sensed Su Yiyan's emotions, the system suddenly opened its mouth and asked, "Host, these remaining points, can you give them to me?" Points? Su Yiyan was a little puzzled but did not think much of it. Anyway, the system was leaving. There was no use for her to keep these points. Sure. Then goodbye. When the last mechanical voice fell, no one noticed that an invisible light had split into 2 beams and landed on Su Yiyan and xuanhuan respectively. It flashed, then returned to silence. Goodbye. Su Yiyan whispered in her heart. She felt lost. What's wrong? Xuanhuan saw that Su Yiyan had suddenly stopped. Her face also showed some disappointment as she asked with concern. Su Yiyan seemed to wake up from a dream. She forced a smile and shook her head. Carrying the child, she walked towards the car. At this moment, a few people suddenly cried out in alarm not far away. Be careful. Su Yiyan was shocked. She instinctively turned her head and saw that the scarred man she had met before had escaped from the main group. He was standing in the corner of the courtyard in a secluded area. He raised his finger and pointed at xuanhuan's position. It looked like he was about to pull the trigger. No. Su Yiyin screamed, but it was too late to stop him. The heart-stopping sound of a gunshot rang out. What everyone expected did not happen. The knife-scarred man stared blankly at the wound on his chest where blood kept gushing out. The pride and viciousness on his face had completely turned into astonishment. He blankly turned his head to look, and then his body swayed and fell heavily to the ground. Behind him, Xianxia watched this scene with a cold expression. He slowly put away the thing that was still warm in his hand. Su Yiyin was shocked and glad at the same time. Holding the child, her legs went soft and she sat on the ground. Not long after, a shadow covered her and pulled her into his arms. He comforted her softly, "Don't be afraid, I'm fine." In a split second, all the things he had experienced, all the fear and all the grievances he had felt that day exploded. She grabbed xuanhuan's hand tightly and couldn't help but cry. She didn't cry when she was hit by a car, hit by another car, or threatened by bullets with her child. She didn't cry when she was brought to this secluded place and had to face not only the suspicious and cunning Do Tianyi, but also those vicious outlaws. When she couldn't even guarantee her own safety, she didn't cry. But all this patience finally fell apart when she saw the man pointing the gun at xuanhuan. She could no longer pretend to be strong. It turned out that she was also afraid. She was afraid of death, but she was even more afraid of the death of the people she cared about. When Su Yiyin cried, the child in her arms also cried. Xuanhuan looked at the adult and the child crying. He didn't say anything. He just hugged her tighter. How could he not know about Su Yiyin's fear and lingering fear? Over the past day, his uneasiness and panic were no less than theirs. Fortunately, everything was over now. Chapter 11:19. When Su Yiyin woke up again, it was already noon the next day. Too many things had happened the day before. Not only was her back sore, but she was also a little absent-minded. She had forgotten how she came back yesterday. When she walked downstairs in a daze, she found that Qing Xiuqin, Ling Xiaoqi and the others were all there. Su Yiyin was so scared that she was completely awake. "Dad, Mom, brother, and Xiaoqi. Why are you all here? You're still talking about it?" Qing Xiuqin took the lead and got up to greet her. She grabbed her hand and said, "You actually hid such a big thing from me. If I didn't happen to see the live broadcast online yesterday." Qing Xiuqin still had some lingering fear when she said this. God knew how worried and scared she and her husband were when they saw the live broadcast online yesterday. Fortunately, the children were fine. Otherwise, she wouldn't know what to do. Su Yuxuan, who wanted to hide this matter, and xuanhuan looked at each other. They both felt a little guilty. They touched their noses and didn't dare to talk. Especially Su Yuxuan. When Su Yiyin came back yesterday, she was already tired and fell asleep. Xuanhuan carried her in. At that time, Su Yiyin's parents, who had received the news early and ran to the family hall to wait, thought that something had happened to her when they saw her being carried in. Their legs went soft and they almost fainted. Fortunately, although xuanhuan was surprised to see them, she quickly explained that the adults and children were fine. They were just frightened and fell asleep because they were too tired. The two of them were pulled back from the edge of collapse. However, after experiencing such ups and downs, the two of them were unwilling to go home. So they stayed in the family hall for the night, waiting for the children to wake up. That night, Su Yiyin was very tired and slept like a log. The three of them did not get much sleep that night. When Su Yuxuan woke up, he tried to hide it from his parents, but it was only natural that his parents would settle the score with him. Before Su Yiyin went downstairs, he had already been scolded for a long time. When Su Yiyin heard Qing Xiuqin's words, she knew what was going on. She quickly explained for xuanhuan, "Xuanhuan and the others didn't tell you. It's their fault. But this matter was scary. They were afraid of scaring you, so they didn't dare to tell you. Forgive them." Qing Xiuqin and his wife were a little angry at first, but xuanhuan risked her life to go into the enemy's camp. Now, she only brought it up again because she was angry that they had excluded their parents from such a big matter. They were even worse than the viewers in the live stream who only found out about it at the end. Qing Xiuqin glared at his daughter, who was eager to defend his son-in-law. "I'll let it go this time. If this happens again, I'll take little Xingxing home and raise her. Let's see if you're worried." Su Yiyin rubbed her face, which was a little painful from being pinched. She laughed and said, "I'm definitely worried. Someone might not be so. Who knows, he might even be asking for it." What? Qing Xiuqin didn't hear the last part of Su Yiyin's words clearly. He frowned and asked, Su Yiyan hurriedly said, "Nothing. I mean, since you said so, we won't dare to do it again." "That's more like it." Cheng Xiuqin snorted and didn't continue to dwell on this topic. Su Yiyan breathed a sigh of relief. She turned to look at xuanhuan, only to see that he was also looking at her. Su Yiyan was stunned. Thinking of what happened yesterday, her heart trembled. Chapter 11:20. The brief exchange of glances between the two did not attract the attention of the elders. When Mr. Su saw that his wife was done criticizing him, he also talked to Su Yiyan about another serious matter. "Since you're fine, let your uncle and grandfather know later. Don't let them worry too much." Grandfather and uncle know about it too? This matter has caused a lot of commotion. How could they not know? I reckon that they won't be able to sit still for the next 2 days and will come to see you and the child. Su Yuxuan seemed to have thought of something as he spoke. He coughed lightly and said, "And those fans of yours online, it's best if you tell them that you're safe. Yesterday your live broadcast was suddenly interrupted, and the police couldn't immediately give an explanation. Your fans are about to turn the sky upside down." The live broadcast was suddenly interrupted? When Su Yiyan heard Su Yuxuan's words, she was stunned. Yesterday's live broadcast was interrupted? When did it stop? When that woman suddenly went crazy and ran over to pounce on you and the child. Su Yiyan did not expect the live broadcast to be interrupted so early. However, her original intention of starting the live broadcast was to expose the true colors of Do Tianyi and the others. At the same time, she also wanted to let xuanhuan and the others confirm her situation and location. The live broadcast was interrupted at that time, so it did not have much of an impact. However, for the audience who watched the entire live broadcast at that time, the live broadcast being interrupted at that time was like watching a drama at the climax and suddenly saying, "Please listen to the next episode." They were probably angry and worried. But then again, she was able to get out of trouble this time thanks to the favorable impression points provided by the audience. Even without Su Yuxuan's reminder, she was prepared to do something to repay these lifesavers. "I know. Later, after I say goodbye to uncle and grandfather, I will let them know that I'm safe." Su Yiyan said this and suddenly turned to look at xuanhuan. "Where's uncle? Why don't I see him?" "He went to deal with the aftermath." Xuanhuan paused. In the end, he still felt that Su Yiyan had the right to know about this. "When Jingping is dead. The man who wanted to kill me is also dead. Those who were present at the time were either dead or injured. Do Tianyi's condition worsened and he was sent to the emergency room. I don't think he'll be able to come out again." Su Yiyan had already guessed most of these things, so there was nothing surprising about it. What she was more concerned about now was, "Have you caught those people?" Xuanhuan was stunned. She knew that Su Yiyan was not only talking about the people in the villa yesterday, but also the group of people that Jing Qianyang had been tracking. "Yes, I've caught them all. This time no one is left out." Only then did Su Yiyan breathe a sigh of relief, revealing a relieved smile. "Their souls in heaven can rest in peace now. Uncle is also free." Xuanhuan lowered her head and held Su Yiyan's hand. She replied in a low voice, "Yes." After confirming the safety of Su Yiyan and the child, the two elders finally felt relieved. The sleepiness that had been suppressed for the whole night also surged up. They went back to rest first. After the few of them left, Su Yiyan first went to check on the child. After confirming that he was still sleeping soundly, she reported to the old man that he was safe. In fact, when Su Yiyan came back yesterday, Qin Shueru and the others already knew about the situation on their side from Cheng Xiuqin. However, they still felt uneasy when they did not see him. Now that they finally saw him alive in front of them, they finally felt relieved. They gave Su Yiyan a few simple instructions and told her that they would go and see him in 2 days before hanging up. After hanging up, Su Yiyan breathed a sigh of relief. After hesitating for a moment, she turned on the camera that had been installed for a long time. Chapter 11:21. The fans in Su Yiyan's live broadcast room were still brooding over the sudden interruption of the live broadcast the day before. They were running around, trying to find some clues from the major media reports to confirm the safety of Su Yiyan and her son. When they heard the sudden beep of the live broadcast, many people almost thought that they had heard wrongly. After the initial shock, a large number of people flocked to the live broadcast room. In a moment, the number of viewers in Su Yiyan's live broadcast room was pushed to the top of the website. "Host? Is it really the host? Are the host and the baby all right?" Yesterday's live broadcast was really infuriating. She dropped the ball at the crucial moment and caused me to not sleep well the whole night. I was worried about the safety of the host and the baby. Fortunately, the host is fine. "Host? Oh my God, it's really the host. The host is back." It's good that she's fine. It's good that she's fine. I was really scared to death yesterday. How can there be such a deranged person in this world? They should all be captured and locked up, never to be let out again. Su Yiyan looked at the screen full of, "It's good that she's fine." Her heart was slightly warm. Thinking that she could successfully get out of trouble this time, these little cuties had contributed a lot. She couldn't help but smile a little. "Thank you for your concern. I'm fine. Thanks to everyone's help, the rescue team came in time. The baby and I are fine. The bad guys have been arrested." With the host's personal confirmation, many people who were waiting in the live broadcast room were greatly relieved. It's good that the host and the baby are fine. Although I knew that those people were not good people when I watched the live broadcast, I was still shocked when I saw the official report this morning. The host and the baby are very lucky to be able to return safely. One who survives a great disaster is bound to have good fortune. I hope the host and the baby can be safe and happy in the future. Although the media reports didn't name names, people who were paying attention to the situation could still find clues from the large number of reports and match these words with what they had seen and heard. Su Yiyan's incident this time was very bad. If they didn't respond in time, it would easily cause panic. Therefore, a report came out early in the morning, pointing out the identity of the scarred man and the others. It claimed that they were a group of illegal forces who had been smuggled back from abroad. Their methods were cruel and very dangerous. However, with the cooperation of the police and the general public, this group of people have all been arrested and will no longer endanger the safety of the public. Please do not worry. As for the victim, Su Yiyan, her identity was rather sensitive. Moreover, they were probably worried that Su Yiyan would attract too much attention and attract other dangers. Therefore, they did not mention much about her. This also caused the audience to be even more worried about Su Yiyan and her son's current situation. Once his tense nerves relaxed, he naturally had the mind to care about other things, such as Su Yiyan's true identity. So, is the host really President Su of Dongqing Group? The boss of the entertainment company whose boss is more popular than his employees? Su Yiyan almost choked when she saw this message. The boss was hotter than the employees? Where did this rumor come from? If there isn't an agency named Dongqing, it should be. It's actually true. No wonder those gossip accounts couldn't find out the host's identity no matter how hard they tried. It turns out that the host has been jumping around under their noses all this time. Is this the legendary darkness under the light? Chapter 11:22. Don't talk about them, we didn't recognize it either. Thinking about it carefully, I also ate the melon of the host tearing up the mistress before. At that time, I felt that the voice in the video was inexplicably familiar, as if I had heard it somewhere. It's a pity that I didn't have the desire to know the truth. Now that I think about it, I missed 100 million yuan. There were many people who had this idea. Su Yiyan had torn up the green tea with her own strength, defended her own artists and other high-profile deeds, which had indeed attracted many people to eat her melon. It was just that at that time, no one dared to associate Su Yiyan with the boss of a big company. A few people who had a big imagination did not dare to speak out at will. A small food area's internet celebrity and a big boss with a winner's script. Wasn't this a blatant scam? No, they couldn't let the host bear inexplicable charges because of their momentary slip of the tongue. This idea must be nipped in the cradle. However, these people would never have thought that because of their sensibility, they would miss the truth again and again. They really didn't know whether to cry or laugh. Of course, there were also people who realized that many of their favorite artists belonged to Su Yiyan's company. The chef is ecstatic. I suddenly found that my favorite host turned out to be the boss of my favorite brother. The dimensional wall is broken. My little sister is the same. The host has a good eye. The qualifications of the artists promoted in recent years are very good, and they don't make any trouble. I suddenly remembered that the host and my brother had a scandal before. After that, my brother seemed to explain that it was because the new company learned that his sister was ill and hospitalized. The boss was very kind and took the initiative to visit and help his sister find a good doctor to treat her. This doctor shouldn't be the host, right? Yes, I also thought of it when you mentioned it. So the host went to the hospital to see a doctor for his sister, not to visit? Su Yiyan saw that someone mentioned Luo Weibing and his sister. She smiled but was not in a hurry to grab the credit. She just said with a smile, "At that time I went to the hospital to visit. Luo Weibing's sister was able to get better because of the doctors in the hospital, but she did have a period of recuperation with medicinal cuisine when she recovered. That visit was to see how the child was recovering so that we could make some follow-up adjustments." As soon as Su Yiyan said this, Luo Weibing's fans were a little excited. Those who had watched Su Yiyen's live broadcast and tasted the medicinal cuisine in her shop knew very well how effective these nourishing medicinal cuisines were. Listening to Su Yiyen, most people only think that she is modest, and Luo Weibing's fans spontaneously express their gratitude and flattery. Although the fans of other artists are half a beat slower, when they see Luo Weibing's fans start to brush up, they quickly react. This person was the boss. Their brother, Miss, was the boss of their idol's management company. He controlled the lifeline of their idol's resources. He was the boss who could casually leak a little of his information and it would be enough for their idol to take off. There was no need to say anything, just praise him. Because of everyone's tacit understanding, the screen of the live broadcast room was instantly filled with all kinds of mushy flattery. Su Yiyen's eyes hurt when she saw it. At this moment she suddenly saw a message from the corner of her eye. Her expression changed slightly, and her heart couldn't help but thump. Chapter 11:23. The content of the message was, "Host, can the system you used when you were kidnapped really avoid detection by the scanning equipment? Can it be customized into the style you want? How much is the specific price? When will it be available? Can you pre-order it now?" System? Su Yiyen's expression showed a moment of shock and panic, but she quickly covered it up. She frowned and asked, "What system?" Su Yiyen's question reminded many of the audience, and they followed suit and asked questions about the system. Su Yiyen extracted some key points from the rows of messages and found out that not long after the official announcement, Xuanhuan's company made an announcement. They announced that the system Su Yiyen mentioned in the live broadcast was an anti-detection system that their company was researching. This system could avoid detection by various electronic devices. Moreover, this system was small in size and had many variations. Its appearance was very confusing and difficult to detect. It could accurately locate the owner when the wearer was in danger, send a signal to the first contact in the director's contact book, and automatically turn on the audio and video recording function. Su Yiyen read the announcement and her feelings were very complicated. Logically speaking, as soon as this announcement came out, it could be said that it covered up everything that happened during the live broadcast yesterday. It gave a very suitable excuse and also promoted a wave of their own products at the same time. However, the key point was that she knew better than anyone that she did not have the system that they were talking about. For the company's official account to suddenly make such an announcement, it must have been approved by xuanhuan. It was even possible that he was the one who instructed them to do so. For him to do so, could it be that he found out something? If that was the case, why didn't he ask her? Su Yiyen had countless doubts in her heart, but she did not show them on her face. Since it says so, it can definitely be customized. As for the specific time and price, I'll ask my husband when the broadcast ends. It's just that for a product like this, it will take a lot of time to customize it. Su Yiyen was not sure if xuanhuan's company really had a system with similar functions, so she simply gave an ambiguous answer. The audience who inquired did not understand her dilemma. After getting confirmation, they were very excited and said that money was not a problem. As long as the product was good, it was nothing. Most of the people who inquired had some background and were not necessarily Su Yiyen's fans. They had only watched Su Yiyen's live broadcast yesterday and were purely interested in the system. What do rich people care about the most these days? Of course, it was fate. But because they were rich, there were many people who wanted them in their families' lives. Although such people would usually be escorted by bodyguards when they went out, who wouldn't want to take care of both to make themselves safer? What was supposed to be a good live broadcast to report their safety suddenly turned into a live broadcast to promote a new product in advance. The die-hard fans in Su Yiyen's live stream were both angry and amused at the same time. Host, do you still remember what kind of live stream we are doing? I don't mind if you want to promote medicinal cuisine, Chinese herbs, or even some of your endorsements. But can you not promote that stinky man's company's products in the live stream? Alright, I admit I'm just jealous of that stinky man who can marry the streamer. Sour into lemon. JPG. Chapter 11:24. Of course, he was not the only one who was jealous. Soon, many people agreed with this statement and began to denounce this lucky guy who saved the universe in his previous life and was lucky enough to marry the streamer in this life. Big Brother said what I wanted to say but didn't dare to. Although I knew the streamer was married and had a child, I still felt a shock when I saw her in person. Sob, I feel like my cabbage has been taken away. My heart hurts. Yes, I feel the same way. Although I know the streamer's other half is tall, rich and handsome, I still can't help but be picky. Most of the people who felt this psychological difference were the old viewers of Su Yiyen's live broadcast room. Many of these people were about the same age as Qing Shuqin. When they saw Su Yiyan, who was about the same age as their own child, it was inevitable that they liked other people's children more. They couldn't help but be a little picky when looking at her other half. Their child was so outstanding, how good must this person be to be worthy of her? Of course, not everyone thought this way. Early on, after Su Yiyan's identity was exposed, the situation of her and xuanhuan's family was turned upside down. The final conclusion was that although the streamer's husband's relatives were a little weird, the relationship between the two was really sweet. Hey babies, why are you being poisonous? Isn't it good to be a couple? Before, we didn't know the identity of the streamer's other half. Now that we know, I suggest everyone look at the account of the streamer's company's CEO. You can easily find a lot of candy. Haha, although I can understand everyone's feelings, there's really nothing to be picky about the streamer's husband. Not only is he young and handsome, but he's also very rich and capable. The only two shortcomings seem to be that he only has a family of weird relatives, but it's said that they have already separated. They basically don't contact each other and don't even greet each other when they see each other. Also, it seems that he was paralyzed for a while because of a car accident, but he's been cured. I just went to search for his recent photos. Those long legs perfectly match my fantasy of a domineering CEO. That's right. The streamer's boyfriend, not only is he handsome and has a good figure, but he's also capable and has a good background. Many people had seen the drama of the whole corporation changing hands. At that time, many people said that it was a feud between two rich brothers over money and power. After digging up the wealth and background of the tycoon, I just wanted to say to hell with fighting over wealth and power. The moronic media was the cause of death. The host's husband might not even be interested in the whole corporation, okay? Yet, Xian and Xuanhu are all golden chickens that can lay eggs. Do they need to snatch the whole corporation, a mess that has already begun to decline? F***ck? The host's husband is the boss of fantasy? The fantasy games that developed virtual simulators, intelligent robots, and holographic games? How could the host's boyfriend be an ordinary rich second-generation heir? He's clearly a fighter jet among rich second-generation heirs. This is a rich second-generation heir? He could already be considered a real rich first-generation, right? But speaking of which, onlookers seem to be jointly founded by Yan and Xuanhu. If the streamer's husband was really the boss of fantasy media, wouldn't the streamer be the boss's wife? Why did he suddenly feel a little excited? What kind of domineering CEO doting on his wife is this? Su Yiyan saw people discussing her husband on the bullet screen. At first, she didn't pay much attention to it until she saw the end. Chapter 1125. Melon Web was jointly founded by Yan and Xuanhu? Weren't these two companies the ones that Gu Xiaoyang and Yu Zian were in charge of? So, the livestream website she was on was actually xuanhuan's private property? Su Yiyan felt that the impact she had received from today's livestream was more than what she had suffered in the past 2 or 3 years since her rebirth. Thinking about it carefully, it seemed that a certain administrator in her livestream room had taken the initiative to come to her not long after she started her livestream. He had even reached the top in one fell swoop and became the only administrator in her livestream room at the fastest speed. Although becoming an administrator required her to be verified as the host of the livestream room, she also needed to accept the basic authentication of the website before she could lock in on the specific details. At that time, xuanhuan had passed the verification so quickly. Su Yiyan had thought that the other party's generosity had captured the heart of the website's reviewer. Now it seemed that it was not money at all. He had directly used his identity as a boss to open a green channel. While Su Yiyan was in a daze for a while, some of Su Yiyan's anti-fans who had realized that Su Yiyan was the website's lady boss, began to revive from the ashes and became restless. I said that she must have a backer. Otherwise, how could she have promoted all kinds of homepages as soon as she started? She even made the livestream room into a one-man show and banned people's accounts at the slightest provocation. We can't afford to offend her. Upstairs, you are really bold. There are some things that you should know in your heart. Be careful not to be remembered by others. They will ban your account in a while. You dare to do it, but you don't allow people to talk about it? She originally relied on her husband to get to the top. Who knows how many people she has stepped on to gain popularity today. Her fans have been boasting that she has many rich fans. Now it seems that these accounts are all her company's own accounts. Money is going from her left pocket to her right pocket. She can even save on marketing. She can also trick some people who don't know the truth to follow the trend and reward her. These capitalist faces are really too ugly. These people were just short of pointing at Su Yiyan's nose and scolding her for relying on her backer to get to the top and oppressing other live streams on the same platform. The jealousy in their sarcastic words could be seen at a glance. Su Yiyan's diehard fans could be said to be experienced in this aspect. How could they tolerate these jealous people being presumptuous in their own territory? They immediately ridiculed them. Oh my, I can smell the jealousy in some people's eyes even from a few kilometers away. Saying that the streamer relied on her husband to get to the top? Forgive me for not feeling any ripples in my heart. I even wanted to laugh a little. Some people, even if they were uncultured, would go online more often. Before you blackmail her, you should check her background and count how many legends she has created since she started broadcasting. Otherwise, you won't know who will be embarrassed. Upstairs, you're still so patient to argue with these people. Now that I see these trolls, I can't even be bothered to look at them. The host is an active topic on the official account of the Research Institute, and even the official account directly praised her several times. Does she need to rely on her husband to get ahead? To put it bluntly, there are millions of internet celebrities in the world, but there's only one person like the host. With the host's strength, she can be popular anywhere. If the platform loses the host, it may not be able to keep people like us. You should first figure out the pros and cons before arguing with us. Otherwise, saying more will only expose your brainlessness and ignorance. Those who say that the host relies on her husband are either blind or brainless. Looking at it from a more recent point of view, the host just escaped from the tiger's mouth yesterday. Today, a certain company is promoting that whatever system. This is a blatant attempt to gain popularity. As long as you are not blind, you can see who is relying on who. Chapter 11:26. TSK, this is a family matter. How can it be called taking advantage of others' popularity? Everyone pay attention. Don't be influenced by the anti-fans and try to sow discord between the host and her husband. As fans, we should love the house and its crow. The host and her husband complement each other. They go hand in hand and help each other. They are a match made in heaven. It's useless for some people to be jealous. Hold it in or get lost. If you dare to say another word, you'll be burned. He watched as the people who had sneaked into the live stream gradually became mixed up with the honest folk, and it became a noisy mess. Su Yiyan didn't want to continue talking to everyone. She simply said a few words and was ready to go offline. Of course, before turning off the live stream, Su Yiyan confirmed the time and content of her next live stream with everyone. This greatly comforted the audience who were originally worried that she might not live stream in the future after this crisis. After turning off the live broadcast, Su Yiyan felt a little lost. Usually, at this time, the system would take the initiative to summarize with her how many favorability points she had gained after this live broadcast. Before Su Yiyan could recover and find xuanhuan to settle the score, the child's miserable cries came from outside the door. Su Yiyan's face changed slightly. She hurriedly got up and rushed outside. As soon as she opened the door, she saw xuanhuan, who was at a loss, and the little guy in his arms, whose face was red from crying. The baby cries as soon as he wakes up. No one can coax him. Su Yiyan knew that the little guy was probably still trapped in yesterday's thrilling experience. She was very distressed and hurriedly took the child from xuanhuan's arms. She whispered, "Baby, be good. Mommy is here. It's okay. We're already home. The bad guys have been beaten away by Mommy and Daddy. The baby is safe. Don't be afraid." Perhaps it was because his mother was by his side that the baby finally felt safe. Perhaps it was because Su Yiyan's words had an effect. The little boy's cries gradually became softer. After about 2 minutes, he finally stopped crying. He leaned into Su Yiyan's embrace, his two chubby little hands clutching onto Su Yiyan's collar. He was afraid that his mother would disappear in the blink of an eye. Su Yiyan heaved a sigh of relief when he finally managed to coax the little guy. He raised his head and met xuanhuan's eyes, which were too late to look away. The moment their gazes met, Su Yiyan could see from xuanhuan's face that there was nothing more straightforward than guilt. Su Yiyan raised his eyebrows and said with a faint smile, "I just turned on the live broadcast to tell my fans that I'm safe." Yeah. Then they told me something interesting. xuanhuan's heart skipped a beat. She braced herself and asked, "What interesting thing?" "I heard that the website I'm streaming on is under your company." "Yes. But I don't remember seeing this website on the list of companies you gave me." xuanhuan was silent for a moment. She hesitated for less than 3 seconds between telling the truth and brushing it off. She decisively chose the former. "Okay, I admit that this website is under my company's name. The person in charge is Xian. The reason why I didn't see this website on the list was because I asked someone to pick it out in advance." "You picked it out?" Su Yiyan pondered for a moment and nodded meaningfully. "So this website is your private stash for yourself?" Xuanhuan was shocked by Su Yiyan's description. The corners of her mouth twitched as she said, "No, it's because I want to know more about you through this website. In fact, I've hidden another thing from you. The #1 admin in your live broadcast room is actually—" "I know." Before Xuanhuan could finish, Su Yiyan interrupted him first. She smiled and leaned in front of him, calling out softly, "Miss #1 on the list." Chapter 11:27. Xuanhuan's entire body shook. He looked at Su Yiyan with shock and indescribable awkwardness. "You know? When did you find out?" "Oh, the first time you took the initiative to find me. That was a long time ago, but at that time, I didn't say who I was." Intuition. Su Yiyan didn't know why she was so sure that the person talking to her was Xuanhuan. She just felt that this person was very familiar to her, so familiar that she didn't need to distinguish to be sure of his identity. At that time there weren't many people in my broadcast room. Although those people seemed to like me very much, I felt that you were different from me. But I always feel that you are different from them. No matter what disguise you wear, as long as you talk to me, I will definitely be able to recognize you. This is my secret skill. I don't need any reason. When Xuanhuan heard her say this, he felt both sweet and funny. "You already know who I am, yet you keep calling me Big Sister. I saw that you enjoyed hearing me call you Big Sister, so I thought you liked me calling you that. I'm so considerate and spoil my fans so I can satisfy my fans' little hobby." How could Xuanhuan not know that his wife was deliberately teasing him? After holding it in for a while, he could only helplessly sigh. "You?" Then he said, "If you like this website, I'll have Xian transfer it to your name in a bit." Originally he kept this website to protect his little disguise. Now that his disguise had been exposed, there was no point in keeping this website. Su Yiyan shook her head and said with a smile, "I'm not so overbearing as to care about my husband's secret stash of money. You should keep this website. You're my VVVIP client, and I'm your website's #1 host. I'll be indebted to Big Boss for protecting me in the future." Xuanhuan saw that Su Yiyan really didn't want the website, so she didn't force her. She smiled faintly and said, "Okay, I'll cover you and only you." The two adults sweetly displayed their love for each other. The little guy who was miserably neglected in Su Yiyan's embrace could not take it anymore. He slapped his father's chin with his little fist and called out to attract their attention. Su Yiyan lowered her head and kissed the little guy. Suddenly she seemed to have thought of something and asked with concern, "By the way, how is Xiaoyang? His injuries?" "He's fine. Did you stop the bleeding from his wounds?" "Yes. Time is limited, and Do Channy's men are watching from the side. I can only help him stop the bleeding and wait for help. The doctor who treated him said that you did a good job. If you didn't stop the bleeding, he might not have been able to wait until the ambulance arrived. When you were rescued, he was already awake. He blamed himself for not being able to protect you and the child. It's not his fault. At that time, that group of people had guns in their hands. They even brought such a large number of cars to block us. Xiaoyang is not an impenetrable fortress. How could he stop them? When we have time later, we'll go to the hospital to see him." "Okay." Su Yiyan saw that Xuanhuan agreed without hesitation. She couldn't help but think of the announcement on the internet. She opened her mouth and wanted to say something but stopped. Xuanhuan looked at her and couldn't help but wonder, "What's wrong?" Su Yiyan pursed her lips and said in a hoarse voice, "I saw the announcement your company made. It's about the system." Chapter 11:28. The atmosphere in the room suddenly froze because of Su Yiyan's words. After a moment of stalemate, Xuanhuan spoke first, "I asked someone to do it." Su Yiyan pursed her lips and hesitated for a moment before asking tentatively, "Did you?" Xuanhuan raised his head and met Su Yiyan's gaze. He reached out to touch her face and said with a faint smile, "I've said that you can say whatever you want to say. It doesn't matter if you don't want to say it. It's just like how I hide something from you, but it doesn't mean that I don't love you and you don't love me. On the contrary, sometimes I hide something because I can't say it out loud for various reasons. Everyone has their own secrets. As long as you don't leave me, as long as these concealments don't hurt you, it doesn't matter." Listening to Xuanhuan's words, Su Yiyan's uneasy heart settled down little by little. She fixed her eyes on the man in front of her. Obviously, he was not a person who would say sweet words, but every time he said something that touched her heart, she felt particularly at ease and safe. "Let's find time in the next 2 days to go to the hospital to see Xiaoyang." "Okay." Gu Xiaoyang looked bloody and scary that day. In fact, most of his injuries were superficial, and his internal organs were not hurt. However, no matter how superficial the injuries were, excessive bleeding could endanger his life. For this reason, Su Yiyan specially made a lot of nourishing dishes such as pig's liver and pig's blood. She visited him in the hospital several times with xuanhuan. During his hospitalization, she even asked the restaurant to send him food every day. This made Yu Zian and Zui Yanbai, who had sympathized with him and could only lie on the hospital bed for a while, envious and jealous. They wished they could pull him up and enjoy this blessing in disguise. In addition, the kidnapping incident finally gave a satisfactory result on the third day after Su Yiyan was rescued. Of the two groups of people who kidnapped Su Yiyan and her son, the scarred man's group was obviously much more dangerous than Do Tianyi's bodyguards. Unfortunately, the scarred man and the previous leader had already died in the chaos of the escape. The remaining people were all small fries, and it didn't take long for them to get a lot of information out of them. Zheng Qianyang and the others followed the clues and found the nests of many illegal organizations. They solved many major cases in one fell swoop and caught many accomplices who had participated in the incident back then. They had truly avenged Hua Qinhuan's parents. Hua Qihan could have helped Zheng Qianyang and the others contact these people and atone for his crimes. At least he wouldn't have died. However, because he was too cowardly and wanted to escape at the last minute, even betraying Zheng Qianyang and the others at the critical moment, the scar-faced man and the others saw through him. As a result, although the mastermind died, the scarred man was able to escape with a group of people, and he himself paid the price and died in the chaos. When the details of the case were officially announced, his actions and the death of Hua Qinhuan's parents were deliberately exposed, so that even if he died, he would be nailed on the shelf of shame and be reviled. Do Tianyi, who cooperated with such dangerous people and tried to smuggle Su Yiyan out, could be convicted of treason to country I. The Do family's stock price plummeted because of this incident. Do Tianyi's confidants were basically involved in this incident and couldn't come out in a short time. The company had no backbone to turn the tide, and it didn't take long for it to go bankrupt. Chapter 1129. As for Do Tianyi, the mastermind behind all of this, his body rapidly deteriorated after Wen Jingping's death. He stayed in the intensive care unit with a ventilator until New Year's Eve. In the end, he breathed his last with unwillingness and resentment, confirming that he would not live past 30 in the original work. Su Yiyan only found out about this from others a week after Do Tianyi's death. Her heart did not fluctuate too much. She only lamented that if the system was still around, she would have been notified of such a big thing as the death of the world's male protagonist. How could she have waited until now? After Su Yiyan's identity was exposed, it attracted a little trouble as she had previously feared. Some people with difficult and complicated diseases rushed to her to see a doctor. These people either claimed to be relatives or friends, using all kinds of methods to curry favor with Su Yiyan to treat them. Naturally, Su Yiyan would not agree. If there was a first, there would be a second. Once this started, more and more people would stick to her like leeches. She could not get rid of them. Unable to bear the harassment, Su Yiyan simply moved to the small villa left behind by Qinhuan's parents in Xuanhuan for a period of time to avoid the limelight. It was also at this time that the Research Institute and Yi Qiliang and a group of well-known pharmacologists rushed to express their gratitude for Su Yiyan's free donation. They also confirmed that the Chinese herbs did indeed have the effect of alleviating and even treating some diseases that were difficult to overcome at this stage. In the near future, these herbs would be used to treat diseases in the real world. The audience who watched Su Yiyan's live broadcast realized that Su Yiyan had said in the live broadcast that she had already handed over all the relevant materials to the Research Institute and relevant departments. They would be studied by more professional people so that they could be used in the right fields at the right time. It turned out to be true. Because of this, Su Yiyan's reputation soared. Some people who originally had crooked thoughts did not dare to act rashly. They could only wait patiently for the arrival of that day. The matter with Do Tianyi and the others came to an end. Su Yiyan and the others' lives finally returned to normal. However, when she occasionally went in and out of the kitchen, Su Yiyan's heart would still feel a little empty. She thought that she was not obvious, but she did not know that all of this fell into Hua Qinhuan's eyes. You don't seem to be in high spirits these days. Are you still upset about what happened before? Su Yiyan did not expect Hua Qinhuan to see through her. She was stunned for a moment before she said in a low voice, "It's not because of that, it's because I have a friend. I have a friend who has helped me a lot." Is a little sad. Friend, Su's? He's as if he remembered, none of these people's is. So this friend? I's right. I's right. S is right. SSS. Days? SSS. I haven't seen Bao Bao play with it for the past 2 days. Yanbai Company's robot system is basically complete. They've brought Yuan back to upgrade it. They should be able to send it back today. Upgrade? Su Yiyan nodded, not fully understanding. She did not think much about it. She just thought that Yuan was brought back to upgrade its defense function. After all, Zui Yanbai and the others had originally designed this robot because of its safety performance. Right at this moment, there was a small commotion outside, and there was also the sound of a child crying. Chapter 11:30. Both of them were stunned. They looked at each other and walked out together. As soon as they walked out of the door, they saw their little babies crawling around a familiar little robot with Dun Dun and Silly Boy. Their eyes were full of excitement and curiosity. Usually, at this time, Rolly Yuan would take the initiative to pick up the children and lift them up high, but today this little robot seemed to be particularly cold. Su Yiyan glanced suspiciously at this familiar yet strange lump of iron. Zui Yanbai happened to walk in from outside at this time. When he saw Su Yiyan and Silly Boy, his eyes flickered, revealing a faint sense of guilt. Young master, young madam. Su Yiyan smiled at him. Thank you for your hard work. Has Rolly Yuan finished upgrading? Yes, it has. It's just that. It's just that? Without waiting for Su Yiyan to ask more, Dun Dun had already habitually led his son to Rolly Yuan's body, wanting to climb onto Rolly Yuan's head as usual. Rolly Yuan didn't stop it, but it also didn't help the two little fat dogs to lift them up as usual. When Dun Dun finally climbed onto Rolly's shoulder with great effort, Rolly Polly finally turned its round little head and stared at Dun Dun with its hollow black glass eyes for a while. Then it coldly said in a mechanical voice, "Silly dog." Dun Dun, who was suddenly attacked by its little friend's language, was speechless. Su Yiyan was speechless. Although Xuanhuan didn't have much contact with this little robot, Su Yiyan liked the children, so he usually paid more attention to it. At this time he finally realized that something was wrong and looked at Zui Yanbai inquiringly. Zui Yanbai touched his nose awkwardly and laughed. Well, I don't know what's going on. After the upgrade, the robot seemed to have changed. At first, I thought it had accidentally covered something inside, but after checking it several times with the equipment, I didn't find any abnormalities. Zui Yanbai paused and looked at Su Yiyan carefully. I brought it here today because I want to ask young madam if you want to find another problem with it to see if it can be corrected, or get another robot here. Xuanhuan did not say anything and left the choice to Su Yiyan. When Su Yiyan heard Zui Yanbai's words, his heart couldn't help but skip a beat. He thought of the familiar phrase, "stupid dog," and a crazy idea suddenly came to his mind. She walked step by step to the front of the little robot, leaned over and looked directly into its eyes. She asked tentatively, "System?" Who else could it be other than it? There was a hint of pride in its tone. Su Yiyan's eyes lit up. She was both excited and confused. It's really you? How did you? Yin? Before Su Yiyan could finish, Xuanhuan interrupted her. Su Yiyan then remembered that there were still people around. Her hand, which was about to reach out and pat the little metal head, froze in midair. Fortunately, Xuanhuan did not let her feel awkward for too long. He took the initiative to step forward and hold her outstretched hand. Let's keep it for now. We'll take a look. You can go back first. Although Zui Yanbai felt that the two of them were acting strangely, he did not ask much. Oh, okay. As soon as Zui Yanbai left, Xuanhuan's gaze fell on the robot. He did not let go of Su Yiyan's hand. Let's talk inside. Okay. The two of them had something to talk about, so they left the little fellow and Dun Dun in the care of the old butler. Only then did they bring the round skin system into the study. It's that friend of yours? Xuanhuan's hit the nail on the head surprised Su Yiyan, but she also felt relieved. You guessed it. Yes. Su Yiyan finally patted the system's round head. It's a system. A system? Oh, you can think of it as an intelligent robot. It's a string of data. However, this data is already very close to a human. Xuanhuan narrowed his eyes. Although he did not like Su Yiyan being too close to other living things, he would not go so far as to be jealous of a string of data. Hello, host partner. I am Advanced System 001 from the Advanced Realm. Nice to meet you, please advise me. As the system spoke, its two round little hands suddenly popped and two plastic flowers popped out. Su Yiyan, Xuanhuan, system, our current resources are limited. Sorry to embarrass myself. Hidden meaning, this is not my fault but the robot's outer shell. The robot's designer must take the blame. Su Yiyan was the first to react. She could not help but laugh out loud. The originally serious atmosphere became subtle, and it was not as cold as it was before. The system, who had intended to leave a good impression on the host partner, had failed and shut down on the spot. Seeing this, Xuanhuan could not help but laugh. However, he was still concerned about the matter at hand. He coughed lightly and said, What's going on? When did you and it? Su Yiyan stopped laughing. She stared at Xuanhuan for a while as if she had made up her mind. She took a deep breath and said, What I'm going to say next may seem unbelievable to you, but I swear on my character and my happiness in this life that every word I'm going to say is true. I believe you. As soon as Su Yiyan finished speaking, Xuanhuan said without hesitation, As long as you say it, I believe you. Su Yiyan was stunned. Her face still looked familiar, but her eyes relaxed. Xuanhuan was very familiar with the beginning of the incident. Xiaofeng brought his little girlfriend to the family Hua's banquet. He got into an argument with Su Yiyan, who was also invited to the banquet, and pushed her down the stairs. She was injured and hospitalized. However, what happened after that was completely different from what Su Yiyan knew. The Su family forcefully cancelled the engagement between Su Yiyan and Xiaofeng, but did not allow Su Yiyan to marry him. They were like two parallel lines that had never intersected. Until Su Yiyan's death, they had never intersected. Xuanhuan was shocked when he heard the first half of the story, but he remained calm. However, when he heard that Su Yiyan had died in a car accident 3 years after her engagement with Xiaofeng was cancelled in his previous life, he felt as if he had never experienced it before. Even though he had not seen it with his own eyes, he still felt that the blood in his body seemed to have cooled down in an instant. It made him subconsciously want to hold Su Yiyan's hand and feel the warmth of her body to confirm that she was still alive. Su Yiyan sensed his emotions. She stopped talking and held his hand to comfort him. Don't be afraid. It's all in the past. Xuanhuan lowered his eyes to hide the gloomy coldness in his eyes. He was afraid that he would scare Su Yiyan. Was it an accident or was it intentional? It was an accident, but it was also intentional. Su Yiyan did not linger on this topic. Instead, she continued, I didn't lose my consciousness immediately after my death. Instead, I became a soul that no one could see. I saw my parents sad and I also saw you. I realized that you had always liked me. Xuanhuan subconsciously tightened his grip on Su Yiyan's hand. He felt that everything was explained. They had never met before, but Su Yiyan suddenly chose to get engaged to him after her engagement with Xiaofeng was cancelled. Moreover, she seemed to know that he would not reject her. It was impossible for him to reject her. After that, I don't know why. Maybe it was because you were too stubborn, or maybe it was for some other reason. My soul floated away with you and stayed by your side for half a year. I watched you try to protect my family for me. You tried to shelter them from the wind and rain, but in the end, you couldn't resist the rules of the world. You couldn't save the dead people's hearts. I watched them leave one by one. I watched you drag those who had hurt me to hell one by one in order to avenge me. But in the end, you didn't get redemption. You took the initiative to fall into depravity and followed her. Xuanhuan listened to Su Yiyan's story. There was no fluctuation in his heart at all. He only felt sorry for Su Yiyan. Xiaofeng, Wen Jingping, Huaqihan, Cheng Fenglang, and that *T rule of the world. In order to let those two idiots ascend, they had to step on the people he loved the most. They had to step on those innocent people as stepping stones and carry them up step by step. Such rules were meant to be broken. Su Yiyan told him everything. She closed her eyes and let out a long breath. Then, she looked at Xuanhuan and asked carefully, Do you believe me? Xuanhuan kissed her forehead tenderly and pitifully. He said with sincerity and affection, I believe you. Xiaofeng didn't doubt Su Yiyan's words at all. First, it was because he trusted her. Second, it was because he knew himself well enough. He knew that if the person he had been waiting for died just like that, and the only light was gone, he would really drag everyone to the grave with her. Then he would come down to accompany her in person. The Chinese herbs you took out before were all given to you by it? Yes, they were exchanged. I collected the favorability and faith of others to exchange for these things. So, you started a live broadcast and became a streamer? Xuanhuan had thought that Su Yiyan started a live broadcast on a whim. She might have wanted to use it to attack Wen Jingping. Now it seemed that he was too narrow-minded. Su Yiyan smiled. At that time, I was eager to exchange for more herbs and more skills to do what I wanted to do the most. This was the best and fastest way. Xuanhuan was stunned for a moment. Then his eyes lit up. You did it for me? Su Yiyan held his face and rubbed it. I want you to get better. I want you to be well and completely belong to me. Xuanhuan didn't say anything. He just couldn't help but hug Su Yiyan closer. Su Yiyan leaned on his chest. Her eyes were slightly hot. She whispered, Thank you. Thank you for believing in me. Xuanhuan was silent for a moment. Then he suddenly said in a hoarse voice, I once had a dream. What dream? I dreamed that you were covered in blood. You were lying there lifelessly with your eyes closed. You were cold all over. I wanted to save you, but I couldn't touch you at all. I could imagine that kind of despair. He could understand it. Su Yiyan's arms around Xuanhuan paused for a moment. Then she gradually tightened her arms. You gave me a new life. She also gave many people in this world a chance to change their fate. The two of them hugged in silence for a while. Xuanhuan gradually calmed down. On one hand, he was glad that fate had given him and Su Yiyan a chance to start over. On the other hand, he felt a little uncomfortable. Did you, like Hua Xiaofeng in your previous life? Su Yiyan widened her eyes. She didn't expect Xuanhuan to ask this question after he recovered. She glared at him, annoyed and amused. I can't say that I liked him. I just didn't hate him. Although she had been engaged to Hua Xiaofeng for a while, the number of times they had interacted with each other was very limited. During this limited interaction, perhaps Xuanhuan had been eager to get to know her grandfather through her and her mother, so he had given Hua Xiaofeng a lot of advice that had made Hua Xiaofeng's young master temper more or less restrained. In addition, Mrs. Hua and her mother were good friends. She didn't keep her guard up. Her impression of Hua Xiaofeng was neither good nor bad. At most, he was a slightly familiar stranger. In fact, Su Yiyan thought about it later. Even if Wen Jingping hadn't been there, she and Hua Xiaofeng probably wouldn't have gotten married. However, if she hadn't been the trigger, the two families wouldn't have gotten into such an ugly fight. Su Yiyan knew what Xuanhuan was jealous about. She raised her head and kissed him. She smiled and said, Don't worry. Whether it's in my previous life or in this life, you're the only one I've ever loved. Xuanhuan looked down at his little wife. At this moment, he only felt that her eyes were full of stars. They were so bright that he couldn't take his eyes off them. Seeing that the two of them were about to kiss and hug each other, the system, which had been neglected for a long time, finally couldn't stand it anymore. Host and partner, please consciously abide by the regulations for the protection of mental health of robots. Do not perform any restricted scenes in front of the system. Do not perform any restricted scenes in front of the system. Ahem. In the end, Su Yiyan wasn't as thick-skinned as Xuanhuan. When she heard this familiar warning, she remembered that there was still an artificial camera in the room. She hurriedly withdrew from Xuanhuan's embrace. Her face was slightly red, and she didn't dare to meet the system's dark glass eyes. Xuanhuan smiled faintly and went forward to pat the system's round head. He said sincerely, Thank you for taking care of Yan Yan during this period of time. Thank you for your help. You're welcome. This is what the system should do. Su Yiyan stood at the side for a while. When the heat on her face subsided, she went forward and asked, Didn't you leave after the mission was completed that day? Why did you suddenly come back? And you even ran into Xuanhuan's body? Don't tell me you got addicted to swallowing systems and swallowed Xuanhuan's data as well. You're like a turtle dove taking over a magpie's nest, right? When the system heard her say this, it was furious. The system that swallowed the world's female protagonist that day was purely out of helplessness. Moreover, it was the host's request and not the system's will. The system doesn't have the habit of swallowing other systems. Please stop slandering the system. The original data of this robot was saved by the system in a small area chip. The carrier can be used after rebooting. As for why the system came back, it was because the system used the host's favorability points to exchange for the opportunity to stay in this world. When the system said this, it couldn't help but feel a little wronged. It spent so much effort to exchange for such an opportunity from the main system. Who would have thought that the moment it came back, it was forced to be stuffed with dog food in close proximity and was even attacked by the robot body. It lost to a small robot from a low-level world. It was simply infuriating. My favorability points? Su Yiyan raised her eyebrows. She remembered that the system did ask for her opinion before it left and wanted to take away the remaining favorability points. She agreed at that time, but now that she thought about it, she felt that this matter wasn't so simple. How many of my favorability points did you use for this opportunity? Not much. How much is not much? The system's pair of black eyes started to roll around, obviously feeling guilty. Su Yiyan raised her eyebrows. You're not allowed to lie. But only then did the system report a number hesitantly. The favorability points that the system took away when it left were not even a fraction of this number. Su Yiyan wasn't stupid. How could she not understand? Good for you. I was wondering why you suddenly became so useless. You can't even avoid the signal jamming and send out a message. So it turns out that you purposely led me to start a live broadcast to help you earn favorability points in preparation for your return. You can't bear to part with me? Xuanhuan stood at the side and smiled as she watched Su Yiyan knock the system's round head. She didn't mention that Su Yiyan was sad for a while when she thought that this little thing wouldn't be coming back. Su Yiyan finally got the chance to scold the system. After venting her anger for the system repeatedly choking her in her mind, Su Yiyan let out a sigh of relief. The corners of her lips couldn't help but curl up a little. She rubbed the system's round head and said earnestly, "It's fine if you come back. We can't casually take other people's bodies. In a while, I'll ask Yanbai to send over an unactivated little robot as your carrier. Let's return the body to Xuanhuan, okay?" No. Su Yiyan originally thought that the system would be easy to talk to. After being rejected, she was very surprised. "What? Do you like the appearance of this robot? Don't worry, I'll ask Yanbai to get you one. I guarantee that it'll be exactly the same as the one you have now." The system was still unwilling to relent. It snorted coldly and turned its back to Su Yiyan, ignoring her. Su Yiyan was stunned for a few seconds before she reacted. The system couldn't be jealous, right? Previously, before it had left, it had shown subtle hostility and jealousy towards Xuanhuan several times. This time, it even directly took over Xuanhuan's body after returning. Not to mention anything else, just that flower flick just now could be called skillful. It was enough to show that it had secretly studied Xuanhuan's skills. The more Su Yiyan thought about it, the more she felt that this was a possibility. Looking at the system that was throwing a little tantrum and refusing to cooperate, she had no choice but to ask Xuanhuan for help. Xuanhuan received his wife's pitiful little gaze and stepped forward to help her out. "Since it's unwilling, then give Xuanhuan another shell. Xuanhuan just so happens to prefer a more feminine robot compared to this one. It can wear those little aprons you gave it." Su Yiyan blinked and was a little curious. "Does Yanbai Company have other robots with other appearances?" "Yes, the appearance is actually similar. It's just that some small details are different." "All right then. Ask Yanbai to send another one over." "Okay." The most basic problem was solved. Su Yiyan's gaze towards the system also changed. She smiled and rubbed the system's round head. Her whole body was filled with a kind and amiable holy light. The system was speechless. It had an ominous feeling. Sure enough, in the next second, Su Yiyan said, "Although we've known each other for a long time, the body you're using now was after all painstakingly developed by Xuanhuan's company. There's a saying that goes, if you eat someone's food, you have to be soft-hearted. You've already taken their experimental results. Aren't you going to take something out in return?" The system was speechless. It had just returned and she was already thinking about how to exploit it. Sure enough, humans were unreliable. They were too cunning. If it had known earlier that it couldn't be saved, it would have regretted, upset, and irritable. However, no matter how regretful the system was, it was destined to be exploited by Su Yiyan for the rest of its life. It couldn't escape. Zui Yanbai had just returned to the company when he received a message from Xuanhuan asking him to send another female robot that didn't have a central chip installed. Although Zui Yanbai was puzzled, he didn't ask much. He personally went to the workshop to pick a robot that was about the same size as Roly-Poly, but with more colorful paint. It looked more like a girl and sent it to the family Hua. The old butler and the others didn't have much of a reaction to the new robot in the house. They just thought that it was a new product from Xuanhuan's company and brought it home to try it out first. On the other hand, the little ones at home were curious about the sudden appearance of a robot that looked similar to Roly-Poly but was not quite the same. Most of them were at a loss. Little Xingxing stood on the lawn in the yard and looked at the one on the left, then at the one on the right. It staggered over and circled around the two robots. Its big eyes were full of confusion, as if it didn't understand why there were two robots taking care of it instead of one. Dun was more sensitive. After all, ever since it broke the ice with Roly-Poly, the human and dog, that cross-species had become real companions. Now that there was suddenly another robot, Dun really couldn't understand why there was a robot that looked like its companion but wasn't as easy to get along with as before, and a new member that didn't look like its companion but made it feel very close to it. Could it be that its little friend could clone itself? Dun's small dog eyes were filled with great confusion. However, no matter what, this strange combination had gradually integrated into the house. Su Yiyan leaned against the windowsill on the second floor and looked at the scene in the yard. She couldn't help but smile. Then she felt her waist being held, and her whole body fell into a familiar warm embrace. Happy? Yes. In the yard, the system, who was actually a new member, looked cold and didn't really like to talk to the little ones. However, if one looked closely, one would find that its black eyes had never left the little ones. Every time the little ones walked unsteadily and were about to fall, it would silently guard by the side, ready to catch the children at any time. This was originally Roly-Poly's job, but now it was snatched away by the system, or it could be said that it was secretly competing with Roly-Poly. Little did it know that Roly-Poly, who was regarded as an imaginary enemy by the system, didn't have this consciousness at all. It made people feel that it was fun and funny. Su Yiyin looked at this scene with a smile in her eyes. She only felt an indescribable satisfaction. I'm happy that all of you are here. After that, Su Yiyin broke free from Xuanhuan's embrace, turned around and hugged Xuanhuan's waist instead. She rubbed against his chest in satisfaction and said in a low voice, "Thank you. Thank you for everything you did for me. You allowed me to start over, save the people I wanted to save, and make up for the many, many regrets." Xuanhuan reached out and touched her head. He looked at the person in his arms with a gentle and indulgent gaze, as if he was looking at his own world. "Thank you too. Thank you for coming to my side without hesitation. You changed my life and also changed our established future." The spring breeze blew, blowing the clusters of proudly blooming blue roses in the greenhouse. The fine petals danced in the wind, drifting past the two of them, bringing with them a burst of floral fragrance. Everything was so peaceful and beautiful. The suffering had ended, and a new life had arrived as promised. And the people they loved were all here.